Hi, my name is David P. Shapiro. I am a San Diego criminal attorney. I am also the owner and managing partner at the law office of David P. Shapiro in San Diego. My firm helps good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime. There are a lot of misconceptions about California's three strikes law. For a long time, you could have 2 prior strikes, a serious or a violent felony, and then have any other felony conviction and wind up going to prison for 25 years to life. You would hear horror stories of people who had 2 prior strikes and then they're stealing baby formula to feed their kids and they wind up in prison for the rest of their life. Or, relatively minor low-end felony offenses like possession of a controlled substance when those were felony offenses and wind up going to prison for the rest of their life. Now the law requires that your third strike has to be a strike in and of itself. So that means you have to have at least 2 prior serious or violent felonies. And then the current case, in order to be eligible for the 3 strikes law, has to be a serious or a violent felony. Even if it is not, though, it's worth noting that you're not out of the woods, because with those strike priors, the effects of them will double your sentence. They could add 5 years on your sentence, depending on what those priors were. So in many instances, people think they're out of the woods. They're like, oh, thank God this is not my third strike. But the reality is you could still be convicted and you could still be facing more time, actually, than you might under generally the 25 to life 3 strikes. California sentencing there are so many different ways that you could just add up time and have significant prison exposure because of 1 strike, let alone 2. So it's good to know that you don't have to, it's just any felony is going to land you in prison for the rest of your life. But it's also good to know that, hey, any future felony charge, when you have 1 strike or 2 strikes, is going to lead to significant prison time if you're convicted. So it's important that you arm yourself with the best defense possible with a law firm that's experienced in mitigation, a law firm that's experienced and understands the amount of work that it takes to defend against cases where their clients have prior strikes and are not just going to just quote you a fee over the phone without really delving into your background, without delving into the facts of that prior strike. So those things are important because you want a law firm, particularly in 3 strikes cases, to know what to look for, to be able to identify what they are going to do and have an effective time-proven and time-tested strategy to defend you the right way and get you the best outcome possible, which may very well shave off years of a possible prison sentence, years that you could be with your family, years that you could be resuming your employment, years that you could be resuming relationships with people that you told, hey, I'm done with this life. And you find yourself charged with a 3rd strike or a serious or violent felony in the future. So if you find yourself in this situation, if you have a loved one that's locked up and in this situation and that they need our help, we encourage you to give us a call, 619-295-3555.